great spirit of the waters, hear me, a poor old woman who has lost everything. I bring you my grandchildren, Olana, Chiamaka, and Amara. I am their father's mother, their only surviving family. I dedicate them to you tonight. Protect them. Hide them under your wings. Let no harm come near them. Bless them with long life, with favor, with greatness, beyond their wildest dreams. The river began to swirl. From the heart of the river rose a magnificent figure, a being both breathtaking and terrifying. It was a beautiful mermaid. The mermaid extended a glowing hand. A mist of silver light swirled around the three girls. "Kneel down, my children," Mama Neka's shaky voice commanded, slicing through the eerie silence of the night. The three sisters obeyed. Mama Neka stood before them, her stooped frame silhouetted against the moonlight. Her white wrapper fluttered around her ankles as she lifted her wrinkled hands toward the sky. Her voice cracked as she prayed, her words laced with grief. "Oh, great spirit of the waters!" she cried, her voice carrying across the night. "Hear me, a poor old woman who has lost everything. I bring you my grandchildren, Olana, Chiamaka, and Amara. Their parents are gone, leaving them defenseless. Their mother was an only child, orphaned before she died. I am their father's mother, their only surviving family." Her voice cracked as sobs overtook her. "I dedicate them to you tonight. Protect them. Hide them under your wings. Let no harm come near them. Bless them with long life, with favor, with greatness, beyond their wildest dreams." She flung a handful of cowrie shells into the water. The ripples glimmered faintly in the moonlight, then vanished into unnatural stillness. The river began to swirl. A strange humming rose from its depths, like many voices singing in a language too ancient to understand. And then, from the heart of the river rose a magnificent figure, a being both breathtaking and terrifying. Her upper body was that of a beautiful woman, but from the waist down, she bore a powerful, glistening tail that thrashed gently beneath. It was a beautiful mermaid. The mermaid's voice was soft, yet commanding, like a melody carried on the wind. "Who calls me forth on this sacred night?" Mama Neka fell to her knees, bowing low until her forehead touched the ground. "It is I, Neka," she said humbly. "These children are my late son's daughters. Their mother, too, is gone. She was an only child. They left these 3 orphans behind. I am their last family, but I am old and weak. I will not live forever." Her voice wavered as she lifted her tear-streaked face. "Please, great servant of the mighty river goddess, I beg you, protect them when I am gone. Make them strong, make them prosperous, make them untouchable by evil men. Let their names be remembered. Let their lives be filled with joy and abundance." The mermaid studied the girls, her glowing blue eyes sweeping over their tiny, trembling forms. Finally, she smiled softly. "Your plea has been heard, old one," she said. "The river god you serve is merciful. Your grandchildren shall be shielded from harm. No weapon shall touch them, No darkness shall overpower them. They will rise like stars, admired and celebrated. Mama Neka gasped, falling prostrate on the ground. Thank you, Great One. You have saved them. The mermaid extended a glowing hand. A mist of silver light swirled around the three girls, lifting their hair and caressing their faces. After she was done, she slowly descended back into the water. When they are grown, they will see the greatness that awaits them, she said, her voice echoing across the night. The river does not forget. The waters stilled, the humming faded, and the forest came alive again. Olana turned to her grandmother. Grandma? What just happened? Who was she? You will understand one day, she whispered. One day you will see that everything I did tonight was to keep you safe. Get up. It's time to go home. The girls got up and quietly followed their grandmother home. Behind them, the river rippled softly as though laughing in the darkness. The three girls were the children of Mr. Obioma and Mrs. Adeze. Their father, Obioma, had grown up in Nwagu village, where his mother, Mama Neka, was a well-known and ardent worshipper of the river god. However, when he moved to the city as a young man to build a better life, he met and fell in love with Adaiza, a beautiful, God-fearing Christian. Their love story was simple yet profound. Before they married, Adais lovingly introduced Obioma to her faith, and he converted to Christianity, renouncing the river worship his mother had practiced. This caused a quiet tension between Obioma and Mama Neka, who, though heartbroken, chose not to interfere in her son's decision. Tragedy struck unexpectedly when a ghastly car accident claimed both their parents' lives on the same day. With no one else to care for them, as Adeze had been an only child and orphan before her marriage, the girls were sent back to the village to live with Mama Neka. Though she loved them fiercely, Mama Neka's worldview was rooted in her devotion to the river god. While their late parents had prayed and trusted in the Christian faith, Mama Neka believed only the river deity could protect her granddaughters from harm. This belief was what led her to taking the girls to the river that fateful night, unknowingly binding them to a covenant that would shape the rest of their lives. They returned home and life continued. But something strange began to happen to the girls from that night. From time to time, the sisters experienced strange, frightening dreams, usually set near a dark, endless river. In these dreams, they would hear voices calling their names or see shadowy figures moving beneath the water's surface. They never understood the meaning of these dreams. As they grew older, the dreams became less frequent, fading quietly into the background of their lives. Few weeks after their visit to the river, some men from the city visited Nwagu village. They went to the king's palace and had a brief meeting with him, after which they tied a banner between two trees in the village square. It read, "Hope for Tomorrow Foundation. Free scholarship program for orphans and vulnerable children." The news traveled quickly through the village like wildfire. A well-known NGO from the city was coming to sponsor children who had no means to further their education. For Mama Neka, this was more than an opportunity. It was an answered prayer. Her three granddaughters, Olana, Chiamaka, and Amara, sat on a low wooden bench outside their small mud hut. The girls were neatly dressed in their simple but clean clothes. "Today is a great day, my daughters," she said. her wrinkled hands trembling slightly as she adjusted their clothes. "I pray you all get the scholarship." She took them to the village square and got them registered. On the selection day, the village square buzzed with activity. Mothers, fathers, and guardians had gathered with their children, all hoping for a miracle. The representatives of the NGO, well-dressed men and women with warm smiles, stood under a large canopy, taking names and speaking to the villagers. One of the NGO leaders, a kind-looking woman, addressed the crowd. "We are here today to give children like yours a chance at a brighter future. Education is the key to breaking the chains of poverty. Every child deserves a chance to dream." One by one, children were called forward to be assessed. Olana, Chiamaka, and Amara stood nervously in line holding hands. Mama Neka whispered silent prayers. After asking a few questions, the NGO team huddled together, whispering. A total of 20 children were selected for the scholarship, and Olana and her sisters were part of them. The scholarship was to cover their education from primary till they completed university. Mama Neka let out a loud cry of joy, falling to her knees in gratitude. "Thank you, thank you. May the heavens bless you. May your paths never grow dark." She wept. The crowd erupted into murmurs. Though other children were also chosen, the fact that all three sisters received scholarships together was nothing short of miraculous. Mama Neka smiled through her tears, unaware of the hidden prize that came with this so-called blessing. The scholarship transformed their lives overnight. Olana, being older, moved directly into secondary school while her sisters remained in the village to complete their primary education. The scholarship covered everything: tuition, uniforms, textbooks, and even allowances for food and transportation. Other village children who received scholarships joined them, forming a small group that became known as the Hope Kids. Every holiday, the sisters returned home with stories of their new schools. Mama Neka would gather them around the fire, listening with pride as they described libraries filled with books, classrooms with chalkboards bigger than their hut, and teachers who encouraged them to dream beyond the village. Years passed quickly. Chiamaka and Amara completed their primary education and joined Olana at the secondary school. The three sisters became known for their intelligence and determination. By the time Olana finished secondary school, the sisters were inseparable. Their bond had grown unbreakable, forged through shared struggles and dreams. Years rolled by. The sisters blossomed into remarkable young women. They all studied at different universities within the country, courtesy of the scholarship. Even as the sisters blossomed into young women and advanced through their university education, the strange dreams never truly stopped. They came less frequently than when they were children. But when they did, they were hauntingly vivid. Flashes of rivers, soft humming voices calling their names, and chilling visions that left them breathless and drenched in sweat. Sometimes Olana would wake to find traces of dampness on her bedsheets, while Chiamaka swore she occasionally heard a faint, distant cry of a baby at night. Amara, the youngest, would sometimes sit up in bed with the eerie feeling that someone unseen was watching her from the shadows. Yet, no matter how disturbing these dreams were, the sisters never spoke about them openly. It was as if some unspoken force silenced them. Each girl secretly hoped the dreams meant nothing, burying her fear beneath ambition and hard work. Despite their beauty and elegance, none of the sisters ever had a relationship. Not a single man ever approached them. Not in class, not at events, not even in casual settings. It was as though an invisible barrier surrounded them, keeping potential suitors away. Friends often marveled at their striking looks and wondered why they were always alone. Some even whispered that the sisters were simply too intimidating or too focused on their studies. But to Olana, Chiamaka, and Amara, it didn't matter. They were laser-focused on their goals, determined to become successful and make Mama Neka proud. While other young women their age were distracted by romance, the sisters poured their energy into academics and personal growth, believing love could wait. Olana studied law and became a fierce advocate for justice. Chiamaka pursued business administration, quickly gaining recognition for her innovative ideas. Amara, the youngest, studied music at the Delta State University, her angelic voice earning her a growing fan base even before graduation. On the morning of Amara's graduation day, excitement burst through the air. It was supposed to be one of the happiest moments of her life. The day Mama Neka's youngest granddaughter would walk across the stage and receive her degree. Olana and Chiamaka, both now graduates and working, had both traveled to Delta State University to celebrate with her, their hearts filled with pride. But just as they were getting ready to leave for the ceremony, Olana's phone rang. It was a call from the village. At first, she smiled, expecting it to be Mama Neka asking about the big day. Instead, a shaky voice came through, heavy with grief. The caller informed her that their grandmother had gone to bed like everyone, but didn't wake up that morning. She had passed away. The sisters wept and clung to one another. The realization that their grandmother, their only surviving family, was gone hit them like a storm. Mama Neka had been their foundation, their source of strength and love. Despite the crushing grief, the graduation ceremony could not be postponed. While other graduates beamed with joy, Amara sobbed silently through the entire event, her sisters by her side, their own faces wet with tears. Immediately after the ceremony, the sisters packed their bags and traveled back to Nuagu village. The whole village gathered to mourn. Mama Neka was buried according to the customs of their people, with songs, drumming and prayers echoing through the night. Extended family members and villagers supported the sisters, helping them give their grandmother the honorable farewell she deserved. When the mourning period ended, the sisters returned to the city, completely unaware that the true cost of her desperate prayer to the river had only just begun to unfold. Their success came quickly. Olana opened her own law firm. Chiamaka launched a thriving tech company. Amara signed a major record deal, her voice soaring across radio waves nationwide. They built a very beautiful duplex in Lagos mainland and began to live together, since they were still single. Now that they had it all, they began to yearn for something deeper: love, marriage, family. From the outside, they seemed like women who had it all: wealth, fame, and influence. But behind closed doors, a quiet loneliness ate away at them. The same strange dreams returned stronger now. Olana had the same dream repeatedly. She would always see a beautiful white canopy, decorated with flowers and lights, as if for a wedding. She would look down and realize she was wearing a stunning bridal gown, her veil shimmering like moonlight. Villagers danced in the distance, music playing faintly. But when she turned to see her groom, the man standing beside her had no face, only a swirling blur of water where his features should be. He reached out to touch her, his hands icy cold, and whispered in a voice that made her blood freeze. "You are mine, Olana. No mortal man shall ever claim you." Suddenly, the canopy would collapse into the river, pulling Olana under. She would sink helplessly, her screams swallowed by the dark water. She woke up each time, panting and sweating profusely. As for Chiamaka, her dream always began with the sound of a baby crying soft at first, then louder, until it pierced the air like a scream. She would see a tiny infant lying alone at the riverbank, wrapped in a tattered white cloth. Heart pounding, Chiamaka would rush forward to lift the baby. But no matter how close she got, the baby would slide farther away, as if the river itself were pulling it back. "Come back," she would cry, falling to her knees. Then the water would rise into a towering wave shaped like a woman's face, the face of a mermaid, and the baby would vanish beneath it. Chiamaka would wake screaming, clutching her stomach, unable to shake the sound of the baby's cry. Amara's dream was always the most chaotic. She would find herself running barefoot through a dark forest, branches clawing at her skin, while unseen figures pursued her. She could hear them, many of them chanting in a language she didn't understand. Whenever she dared to glance over her shoulder, she would see shadows with glowing blue eyes rushing toward her, their clawed hands reaching out. "Come home, Amara," the voices would hiss, chilling her to the bone. "The river is waiting." No matter how fast she ran, her feet would sink into the wet earth, dragging her down until she sank into black, swirling water, screaming for her sister. Sometimes, after their dreams, they woke to the sound of water dripping in their individual rooms, even when there was no leak. All these happened in their 20s, and though they had become Christians, their parents' original religion, after they relocated to the city, they didn't attack any spiritual implication to their dreams, so they didn't seek help. Besides, they were not so dedicated. They went to church only when they felt like it. They continued to have these strange dreams while trying for a relationship. Olana was the first to actively pursue love. Handsome, accomplished men admired her beauty and intellect, yet something strange always happened. Whenever a man showed interest, he would suddenly withdraw without explanation. One sent her flowers, only to block her number 2 days later. Another invited her on a date but never showed up. One suitor simply vanished, leaving Olana humiliated and confused. It was as though an invisible wall surrounded her, repelling every man who came close. At first, she told herself it was bad luck, but as the pattern repeated, her confidence began to crumble. Chiamaka's love life seemed promising at first. She began dating Mike, a wealthy businessman who adored her. Their relationship blossomed into a beautiful romance, and soon he proposed and she agreed to marry him. That was the last day she saw him. He didn't visit her nor call her again. He also ignored her calls. 6 months later, his wedding picture was all over the internet. He got married to another woman. Amara, the youngest of the 3 sisters, now a rising music star, was constantly surrounded by fans and admirers. Men showered her with attention, but none of them ever came close in a meaningful way. One night, Amara suddenly screamed in her sleep, a blood-curdling scream that tore through the stillness of the night. "No, leave me alone!" she shrieked, thrashing wildly. Olana bolted upright, her heart pounding. She raced down the hall with Chiamaka right behind her. They burst into Amara's room, switching on the lights, and froze. Amara sat upright on her bed, panting like a hunted animal, her hair plastered to her sweat-soaked face. The sheets were completely drenched, water dripping steadily to the floor as if someone had dunked them in a river. "Amara!" Chiamaka gasped, clutching her chest. "What happened to you?" Olana grabbed her younger sister's shoulders, shaking her gently. "It's okay, baby. It was just a dream," she said, though her own voice trembled. "No," Amara sobbed, her eyes wide with terror. "It wasn't just a dream. It felt real." She gulped air before speaking, her words tumbling out in a rush. "I was standing by the river. Everything was foggy, and I could hear the sound of anklets jingling behind me. I tried to run, but my feet sank into the mud. Then these horrible hands reached out of the water and grabbed me. They dragged me under, and suddenly I was in this dark palace beneath the water. There were voices all around me, chanting in a language I didn't understand. Then I saw a woman with glowing blue eyes and a tail. She smiled at me and said, "You can never leave. You are mine." Then the water closed over my head, and I woke up. Her sobs filled the room, sending chills down her sisters' spines. Olana's face was pale. She sank onto the bed and said quietly, "Amara, you're not alone. I've been having terrible dreams too." Chiamaka's head jerked toward her. "You have?" Olana nodded, swallowing hard. "In mine, I'm always wearing a wedding dress. There's a big celebration, music, laughter. But when I turn to look at my groom, his face is gone. Just swirling water." He grabs my hand and whispers, "You are mine, Olana. No mortal man shall ever separate us." Then the floor collapses, and I fall into the river. Chiamaka shuddered. "My dream is different. I always hear a baby crying. I run toward it, desperate to help. But the closer I get, the farther it seems. Then the crying turns to mocking laughter, and I wake up shaking." The 3 sisters stared at one another, horrified. "This isn't coincidence," Olana said finally. "Our dreams, our failed relationships, men running away from us, something is seriously wrong. It's like we're cursed." Chiamaka's eyes filled with tears. "But what kind of curse? And why us?" "I don't know," Olana said, her voice firm. "But this is beyond ordinary. We need help." The next day, Olana confided in one of her trusted colleagues at work, a woman named Sonia. After listening intently, Sonia leaned closer and lowered her voice. "Olana, there's a man I know. People call him Baba Karim. He's a very powerful spiritualist. many who have gone to him for solutions came back free of their problems. If what you say is true, he might be your only hope. Olana hesitated. You really think he can help us? I'm certain, Sonia said. But you must be ready to do whatever he asks. Desperation won. The next day, Olana gathered her sisters and they followed Sonia to a remote part of the city. The drive seemed endless, winding through narrow, deserted roads until they reached a thickly wooded area. A strange, pungent smell filled the air as they approached a compound surrounded by tall, weathered palm fronds. A dim red lantern burned above the entrance, casting eerie shadows. Strange carvings decorated the walls, symbols none of the sisters recognized. As they stepped inside, Amara clutched Chamaka's hand. This place feels wrong, she whispered. Chamaka squeezed her hand, equally uneasy. Just stay close. The room they entered was circular, lit only by flickering candles placed around a massive clay pot filled with dark liquid. The air was thick with incense and the rhythmic sound of a drum beating softly somewhere unseen. From the darkness, a tall, wiry man emerged, his face partly hidden beneath a hood. His presence was commanding, almost suffocating. Who comes to my shrine at this hour? He asked, his voice smooth but unsettling. Sonia stepped forward, bowing slightly. Baba Karim, these are the sisters I told you about, she said respectfully. They have been plagued by terrible dreams and misfortune in their relationships. They seek your help to end it. The man's sharp eyes moved over the sisters, one by one, studying them intently. For a long moment, he said nothing. Then, a slow, knowing smile spread across his face. I can feel it, he murmured. Your paths are blocked. There is a presence around you, strong and jealous. If not dealt with, it will consume everything you love. He led them to the center of the room and instructed them to sit on woven mats. With deliberate movements, he placed 3 calabashes before them, each filled with murky water. Your dreams, he said, are not ordinary. They are a message from the spirits who have tied themselves to you. But tonight, we will silence those spirits. He began to chant, his voice rising and falling like waves. The drum beats grew louder, filling the room with a hypnotic rhythm. The sisters shivered as a cold breeze seemed to sweep through the shrine, though the doors and windows were shut. Baba Karim sprinkled powdered herbs into the clay pot, causing a column of smoke to rise. You must do exactly as I say, he warned. This water is sacred. Sprinkle it in every corner of your home and bathe with it at dawn for 3 days. When you do this, the spirits will release you. Your dreams will cease, and men will begin to desire you again. Olana, though skeptical, was desperate. She handed over a thick envelope of cash to Baba Karim, who tucked it into his robe without a word. That night, the sisters followed his instructions carefully. They sprinkled the sacred water in every corner of their luxurious apartment. They bathed with it at dawn while whispering the strange words Baba Karim had taught them. They did this for 3 days, exactly as instructed, cautiously hopeful, believing their nightmare was finally ending. But by the next night, their hope turned to horror. The three of them had the same dream again. Amara woke up with a strangled scream, and her sisters rushed into her room, only to find every mirror in the house dripping with water, as if someone had splashed them deliberately. "This is worse than before," Chiamaka cried, trembling. "Olana, what have we done?" Olana's face was confused. "We've been deceived. That man didn't free us, he's made it worse. This isn't just a spiritual, this is war." They decided to seek help elsewhere, still unaware of the root cause of their problem. 2 weeks later, Olana was at the open-air market buying some fruits and vegetables when she overheard two women talking about a very powerful prophet whose prayer house was located on a mountain in the next town. She said that people went there from all over Nigeria and returned with testimonies. Olana moved closer to them. She introduced herself to them and begged the woman to give her the man's address, which the woman gladly did. Within 2 days, the sisters were packed and ready. Very early that morning, they took a public bus at the bus park and headed for the small town, which was about 2 hours away. The Prophecy Mountain stood like a lonely beast at the edge of the community, tall, rugged, with a long, winding footpath that snaked all the way to the top. At its base were clusters of wooden huts and prayer houses. Smoke from burning incense curled into the evening air. As they approached, people dressed in yellow garments moved around barefoot, murmuring prayers. Some were crying, others were shaking. The atmosphere was thick and unsettling. They continued to ascend the mountain. By the time they reached the prophet's hut, they were very tired and exhausted. Seated inside the hut was the prophet, a tall, slender man with piercing eyes. They greeted him and told him their reason for visiting his prayer house. After they were done, he closed his eyes and muttered some words. Then he opened his eyes and stretched his hands towards them. He began to pray. When he was done, he told them that their case was spiritual. "You need spiritual cleansing," he said. "Deep cleansing, mountain cleansing." He reached behind him and brought out 2 plastic bottles of holy water, a bottle of oil, and a jar of white powder. "You will sprinkle this water in your house," he said. "Use this oil on your forehead and chest every morning, and bathe with this sacred powder before prayer." The sisters nodded obediently, but he wasn't done. "For your deliverance to be complete," the prophet continued, "you must sow a dangerous seed, a sacrificial seed of money, a seed that will shake the heavens. Bring your cash." The sisters had prepared a big envelope of 50,000 naira before leaving home. They gave him the envelope. The prophet smiled. Then his expression hardened. "You must read these Bible verses every night," he instructed, handing them a folded sheet. "And after 7 days, you must return to this mountain for a spiritual bath in the river." They nodded again. "Go," he said, waving them away. "Your deliverance begins today." They returned to their house. For the 7 days, the sisters obeyed every instruction. They sprinkled the water, rubbed the strange red oil, bathed with the powder, read the verses, and prayed endlessly. On the 7th day, they returned to the mountain. The prophet led them deep into the forest, to a hidden stream that shimmered under the moonlight like liquid silver. "Remove your shoes," he commanded. They obeyed. He gave them a foul, smelly soap and sponge, then instructed them to bath with it, chanting, "I am free," as they bath. After they had taken their bath and returned to his hut, He congratulated them and told them to kneel. "There is one last step," he said solemnly, "the final deliverance." The prophet paused dramatically, then said, "For your liberation to be complete, I must make out with you." The sisters blinked in confusion. He continued calmly, as though he were asking them to drink water. "Your spirit husbands are jealous. To break the covenant completely, you must make out with a powerful man. That is the instruction I received from the spirit realm," he said. "You will return in 3 days, 1 day for each sister. This is the final sacrifice required for your freedom." His voice echoed in the silence. The sisters said nothing. He dismissed them with a wave of his hand. "Go and prepare. In 3 days, return. Your destinies depend on this." They returned home in complete silence. No one spoke. But the moment they stepped into their living room, the explosion began. Olana threw her bag to the floor. "No, absolutely not. We are not doing that." Chiamaka spun toward her. "What choice do we have? Didn't you hear what he said? If that's the final step to end all this madness, are you listening to yourself?" Olana snapped. "You want all of us to make out with one man, one after the other, on a mountain? It's a spiritual instruction," Chiamaka yelled. "It's foolishness," Olana yelled back. Amara, the youngest, sat down slowly, shaking. "I feel sick." Chiamaka paced the room angrily. "All of this started because of something we know nothing about. Everything we've tried has failed. Every man runs away from us. Our dreams are killing us. If this is what will end it, then maybe—" "Shut up!" Olana shouted. "Stop saying that nonsense." Chiamaka's eyes widened in fury. "Are you calling me foolish? I'm calling you desperate. And desperation will destroy us." Amara burst into tears. "I don't want to do it with anybody. Not like that. Not for deliverance, and especially not with a man like that prophet." Olana knelt beside her, holding her tightly. "You won't. Not while I'm alive." Chiamaka threw her hands up. "Fine. Then what is your solution, Olana? What is your alternative?" "Because every night I sleep, I see shadows wanting to drag me away." Olana's voice dropped. "We will not go back to that mountain. That man is not a man of God, because God does not require such for deliverance," Olana snapped. "Even my common sense knows that. It's a taboo, a sin, and wickedness. How can 3 sisters, 3 blood sisters?" Olana stood tall. "We're not going," she said finally. "And that's final." Slowly, Chiamaka sank into a chair. Her anger melted into exhaustion. "You're right," she whispered. "It felt wrong. So wrong." Amara nodded, wiping her tears. "My spirit rejected it instantly." "And mine," Olana said. "That's how you know it is not of God." "We will not go backward," Olana said firmly. "We will not fall into another trap. We will find real help somewhere, somehow." And so they decided not to return to the mountain. Their strange dreams continued, and men kept avoiding them. 1 year passed after their visit to the mountain. The dreams did not stop, but the sisters tried to push through life as normally as possible. Then something unexpected happened. On one warm Saturday morning, Amara walked into a large supermarket to buy groceries for the house. She pushed the trolley absent-mindedly, lost in her thoughts. She reached for a carton of milk when her hand accidentally brushed against someone else's. She blinked and looked up. A tall, handsome young man stood beside her, early 30s, clean haircut, warm smile. He was dressed casually, but there was a certain calmness around him, the kind of presence that made people feel safe instantly. "Oh, I'm so sorry," Amara said quickly. No, it was my fault," he smiled. "Ladies first." She smiled faintly, wanting to move on, but the man spoke again. "I don't mean to disturb you, but have we met before?" Amara frowned. "I don't think so." He chuckled softly. "Sorry, you just look familiar. Maybe God wanted me to meet you today." Amara froze. "God?" she echoed. He nodded. "Yes." "My name is Daniel. I'm a youth pastor at Grace Fire Assembly." Amara managed a polite smile. "I'm Amara." Daniel hesitated for a moment, then said, "I know this is sudden, but can I have your number? I would like to get to know you better, if you don't mind." Amara hesitated. Men always approached her, but they never stayed. Something always happened after a few weeks which usually ended their friendship. Still, she typed in her number, expecting nothing. Daniel thanked her with a gentle smile and walked away. That evening, he called to check up on her. The next day, he called again, and the next, and the next. He sent her scripture verses in the morning, prayers at night, short videos from prayer meetings, simple "hope you're eating well" messages. After 2 weeks, Amara began waiting for his calls. After 2 months, she realized he hadn't disappeared like every other man. One day, Daniel took her to a quiet restaurant on a date. They talked for minutes about childhood, dreams, God, purpose, pain, everything. Amara found herself laughing, genuinely laughing, something she hadn't done in months. When they were leaving, Daniel paused, took a gentle breath, and said, "Amara, you are special. God told me you are my wife." Amara burst into a shaky laugh. "Please, don't joke like that." "I'm not joking," he said softly. "I prayed about it. God said clearly, take care of her. She is the one." Amara's chest tightened painfully. She wanted to cry. If only he knew her truth. If only he knew the nightmare surrounding her life. If only he knew the kind of thing she had been battling. Daniel drove her home minutes later. Amara walked in shyly and introduced him to her sisters. Daniel greeted respectfully, bowing slightly like a well-brought-up man. The sisters invited him in. They talked, they laughed, they asked questions. Daniel answered calmly, maturely, confidently. Daniel left late, promising to call when he got home. 2 days later, Amara decided to tell Daniel about her spiritual battles. They met at a cafeteria. She was shaking badly as she spoke. She told him the entire story, the dreams, the failed relationships, the spiritual attacks, the fake prophets, the mountain, the false deliverance. Daniel didn't flinch. He just listened, squeezing her hand tighter. When she was done, he spoke to her calmly. "Amara, there is nothing God cannot break. No covenant is stronger than the blood of Jesus." Amara's lips quivered. You still want to marry someone like me?" Daniel smiled. "My dear, You are not dirty. You are not owned. You are not chained. You are simply a woman God wants to set free. Tears spilled down Amara's cheeks. That Sunday, Daniel invited all 3 sisters to church. They agreed. When they entered the sanctuary, worship was ongoing. The atmosphere was different, peaceful, powerful, warm. Daniel introduced them to the senior pastor. Everyone welcomed them warmly. They attended service after service, program after program, prayer after prayer. Then, the church organized a 3-day power-packed revival program. Amara, Olana, and Chiamaka were invited by Daniel, and they attended. The atmosphere vibrated with worship, voices raised in raw hunger for God. The sisters sat quietly near the middle of the hall. The invited minister, Apostle Jeremiah, mounted the pulpit, a man with a deep voice, broad shoulders, and fire in his eyes. He spoke like someone who had been with God. His voice carried power. Midway through the service, he paused suddenly and turned his head slowly, scanning the congregation as if searching for something or someone. The tension was palpable. Then he spoke. "There are 3 sisters here," he declared. His voice boomed through the hall. "You have been fighting for years. Dreams, darkness, strange voices, failed relationships, marine attacks, invisible barriers, covenant battles. Step out here now. Your time for liberation is here." Olana and her sisters looked at each other. They knew immediately that the man of God was talking about them. Trembling, the 3 of them rose and made their way towards the altar. When they reached the altar, Apostle Jeremiah stared deeply at them, his eyes narrowing as though seeing into their souls. "You have suffered long enough," he said gently. "Tonight marks the beginning of your freedom." The man extended his hands toward them and began to pray for them. After the prayers, he instructed them to fast for 3 days. He scribbled some Bible verses on a sheet and handed it to them. "And pray these prayer points," he added a list. "Lord, break every spiritual covenant tying me to darkness. Blood of Jesus, speak for me." After 3 days, he said, "Come back to this church. Come to the office. Your deliverance will be completed there." The fast began the next morning. Daniel called them every day to pray with them. He even fasted alongside them without being asked. But the 3 days were hellish. They kept having terrifying dreams. The sisters barely slept. On the evening of the 3rd day, they walked into the church compound. Daniel met them at the entrance and walked them to the pastor's office. Apostle Jeremiah was already inside, waiting. When they entered, he did not smile. He simply folded his hands and nodded. "It is time." The room grew still. He gestured for them to sit. Then, in a slow, steady voice, he said, "I have prayed about your matter seriously, and the Lord has revealed the origin of your battles." The sisters leaned in terrified, yet desperate for truth. "It began with your grandmother," he said. Amara gasped softly. Apostle Jeremiah continued, "She loved you, but she made a mistake. She took you to the river seeking protection. She dedicated you there, believing she was saving your lives." The sisters began to tremble. "But the spirit she called on was not God," the pastor continued. "It was a water spirit, and she unknowingly gave you over to the marine kingdom. You are all spiritually married," the apostle said gently. "What you are fighting is not random. It is a covenant, a deep covenant, a dangerous covenant. He stood up. I have prepared 3 prayer warriors for these 3 days. They are equipped and anointed. He opened the adjoining door. 3 intercessors stepped out, 2 men, 1 woman. Their presence filled the room with solemn authority. The head prayer warrior spoke. Daughters, kneel. The sisters obeyed. The warriors formed a perfect circle around them, hands stretched, eyes closed, atmosphere thick. Apostle Jeremiah whispered, "Let the deliverance begin." Then he raised his voice, and the room exploded into prayer. In the heat of the prayer, all 3 sisters collapsed backward and slipped into a deep, supernatural trance. They found themselves at the river. The world around them dissolved into mist. The water rippled violently. Suddenly, a sharp splash echoed. Then a terrifying figure emerged. It was the mermaid. But this time she was more sinister, her once beautiful face now twisted with rage. Her tail glittered like wet obsidian. Her hair floated unnaturally as if underwater. Behind her stood a strange man, tall, muscular, with pitch-black eyes and pale, cracked skin. Other marine agents, women with fishtails, men with scaly legs, surrounded the sisters, forming a semicircle. "You think you can leave us?" The mermaid's voice echoed like thunder underwater. The strange man stepped forward, pointing at them. "You once belonged to us." They lunged forward, grabbing the sisters' arms. They began dragging them toward the water. Their feet slid helplessly. The sand shifted beneath them. The river churned hungrily as if waiting for them. Just as their feet reached the water's edge, a sudden blast of wind erupted. A bright white light burst into the scene. And then the pastor and the prayer warriors appeared on the riverbank, in the spirit realm, standing between the sisters and the water. Their presence shook the atmosphere. Apostle Jeremiah held a sparkling Bible in his hand. "You cannot take what God has redeemed," he roared. The prayer warriors stood boldly beside him. The spiritual warfare began. The spirits trying to drag the girls along, and the pastor and prayer warriors struggling for their rescue. The mermaid shrieked. The strange man growled. Other marine agents hissed and retreated slightly. And then the battle began. Marine spirits screamed as flames tore through their ranks. The mermaid shrieked louder. She roared, "They are mine!" But at that moment, a sound thundered through the heavens, a sound that silenced everything, like 100 trumpets blasting at once. The marine agents wailed. They released the sisters immediately and dove back into the river. Silence fell. Then the river stilled. Olana, Chiamaka, and Amara fell to the sand, sobbing in confusion and relief. Apostle Jeremiah and the prayer warriors surrounded the sisters gently. "It is finished," the apostle said softly in the spirit realm. Back to the church office, and in reality, their bodies lay on the office floor. 3 of them all jerked up suddenly, looking around. The prayer warriors were singing songs of praise to God, thanking Him for one battle. The sisters cried and joined in the praise. Apostle Jeremiah waited patiently until the 3 sisters were fully conscious and calm. Then he dragged a chair closer, sat down, and spoke with the gentleness of a father correcting his daughters. "My daughters," he began, "what happened today is not something ordinary. You have been carrying battles that did not start with you. People think covenants only happen when blood is spilled or sacrifices are done. No, covenants happen through words, actions, agreements, items, altars, and simple rituals, even unknowingly. He pointed gently at them. What your grandmother did, she did out of love. She wanted to protect you. She didn't know she was handing you over to a marine altar. But the spirit realm does not care about innocence. Once a dedication is made, knowingly or unknowingly, the covenant becomes binding until a higher power breaks it. There are millions like you, innocent children, entire families tied to altars they've never even seen. Rivers, shrines, herbalists, strange prophets, occult practices masked as tradition. And worst of all, many people enter new covenants while trying to escape the old ones. When you visited the prophet on the mountain, the moment he instructed you to bathe in a river, he was not cleansing you, he was initiating you deeper. And when he asked to lay with you, that was the final seal of bondage he intended. Desperation can lead people into traps, the apostle said slowly. Many are wandering from prophet to prophet, mountain to mountain, shrine to shrine, looking for help. But the truth is, his voice grew firm. God alone is the deliverer. God alone breaks covenants. God alone heals. He leaned closer. Don't ever go seeking solutions from strange places. Don't visit shrines, rivers, mountains, or mystic prophets. Some people's problems became worse the moment they submitted themselves to a wrong altar. He pointed upward. Stay rooted in Christ. Stay rooted in the Word. Stay rooted in prayer. Whom the Son sets free is free indeed, he concluded. The room was silent. Then the apostle stood and laid hands on each sister one more time. Go in peace, he said softly. Your covenant with darkness is broken forever. Your destinies are released. The sisters burst into tears and fell to their knees in gratitude. After calming down, they thanked him deeply, hugged Daniel, and returned home. Exhausted but light, tired but peaceful, drained yet finally free. The next morning was the first in years where no nightmares, no humming voices, no fear, no heaviness. Their minds were quiet, their spirits were calm, their hearts were light. For the first time in years, they slept deeply and woke up smiling. They began to read the Bible together every morning. They filled their home with worship songs. They attended church faithfully. They prayed together and held on to God like never before. Daniel, now deeply woven into their lives, became their rock, calling daily, sending scripture, visiting regularly, praying with them. Then suitors began to show up. Men, respectable, godly, mature men, started noticing them. For the first time ever, the sisters were being approached naturally. Olana met a medical doctor. Chiamaka reconnected with an old colleague who had secretly admired her in the past. Amara, already growing close to Daniel, found their friendship deepening beautifully. Soon, Olana got engaged. Chiamaka began courtship. And Daniel, who had never hidden his soon, he proposed to Amara. Within 2 years, all 3 sisters were gloriously married. God had truly restored them. Olana married the doctor and gave birth to twins. Chiamaka married her colleague and became a business leader and mother of 2. Amara and Daniel built a beautiful Christian home and had a daughter they named Mercy, because Mercy found them. The sisters always visited their grandmother's grave, placing flowers and praying for her soul, understanding that she acted out of love, not evil. But they never forgot the lesson. Not all altars are of God. Not all help is divine. Not all spiritual places bring deliverance. Some bring bondage. Only Jesus delivers fully and permanently. Their story became a testimony that transformed many lives, a warning, a lesson, a message, and a miracle all in one. From bondage to freedom, from nightmares to peace, from sorrow to joy, from spiritual husbands to godly marriages. Indeed, whom the Son sets free is free indeed.